Havana feels like stepping into a living time capsule where colorful vintage cars cruise past faded colonial buildings and Caribbean rhythm fills the streets. It's a city frozen in history, yet alive, with music, culture, and unmatched charm. From its old-world architecture to its vibrant street life, Havana offers a travel experience that is both nostalgic and deeply authentic. In this ultimate travel guide, discover why Cuba's capital is one of the most visually iconic cities in the world. 10. Old Havana. A living colonial time capsule, Havana begins in its most atmospheric district, Old Havana. This UNESCO World Heritage Site feels like a city frozen in time, where Spanish colonial architecture, faded pastel buildings, and cobblestone streets create an almost cinematic setting. Walking through Plaza Vieja, Plaza de la Catedral, and Plaza de Armas, you feel layers of history in every wall. Baroque churches, restored mansions, and crumbling façades sit side by side, reflecting both former grandeur and modern resilience. Music drifts through the streets, and locals gather in open squares, turning the entire neighborhood into a living cultural stage rather than a static historical site. 9. Vintage American cars, rolling symbols of Havana. One of Havana's most iconic images is its fleet of vintage American cars from the 1950s. Due to trade restrictions and limited imports over decades, these classic Chevrolets, Fords, and Cadillacs have become part of daily life. These cars are not just tourist attractions, they are working taxis, carefully maintained and creatively repaired with local ingenuity. Painted in bright colors, they cruise along the Malecón and through city streets, adding a nostalgic rhythm to modern Havana. Riding in one feels like stepping into another era, where time moves slower and style is defined by preservation rather than replacement. 8. The Malecón. Havana's oceanfront soul. The Malecón is a long seaside boulevard stretching along the coast, acting as both a social hub and emotional heart of the city. It is where Havana meets the Atlantic Ocean. At sunset, waves crash against the seawall while locals gather to talk, play music, and watch the horizon. Couples sit along the wall, musicians perform spontaneously, and fishermen cast lines into the sea. The Malecón is not just a road, it is a daily ritual, a meeting place, and a symbol of Cuban resilience and joy. 7. Cuban music. The rhythm of everyday life. Music is not entertainment in Havana, it is identity. From salsa and son cubano to rumba and jazz, rhythm flows through every corner of the city. Live performances happen in plazas, bars, and even street corners. Bands play with passion and precision, often improvising with deep emotional expression. The Buena Vista Social Club legacy continues to influence Cuban music globally. But in Havana itself, music remains a living tradition, not a museum piece. 6. Havana cuisine. Simple, flavorful, and rooted in tradition. Cuban cuisine reflects history, geography, and resourcefulness. Dishes are simple but rich in flavor, often centered around rice, beans, plantains, pork, and seafood. Classics like ropa vieja, moros y cristianos, and lechon asado are staples of local dining. Street food includes empanadas, sandwiches, and tropical fruits. Meals in Havana are often shared experiences, where food is paired with conversation, music, and social connection rather than formality. 5. Revolution Square. Monument of Ideology and Memory. Revolution Square is one of the most politically significant spaces in Cuba. It is vast, open, and symbolic, dominated by the towering José Martí Memorial and large steel portraits of revolutionary figures like Che Guevara and Camilo Cienfuegos. This is where major speeches and national events take place, including historic addresses by Fidel Castro. The scale of the square reflects the scale of Cuba's political identity, bold, visible, and deeply rooted in revolution. From the top of the memorial, you can see the entire city stretching toward the sea, a reminder of how Havana balances ideology, history, and daily life. 4. Havana's architecture, beauty, and decay, and restoration. Havana's architecture is one of its most striking features. Colonial mansions, neoclassical buildings, and Art Deco structures line its streets, many showing visible signs of time. Some buildings are beautifully restored with bright paint and polished details, while others remain in faded, partially collapsed states. This contrast creates a unique aesthetic, often described as romantic decay. Rather than erasing imperfections, Havana embraces them. The city's architecture tells a story of resilient structures that continue to stand, adapt, and serve despite decades of change and limitation. 3. Cuban culture expression through struggle and joy. Cuban culture is defined by creativity, resilience, and emotional expression. Despite economic challenges, the city thrives through music, dance, storytelling, and community life. Street art often reflects political themes, identity, and hope. Dance is not restricted to stages. People dance in homes, streets, and public squares as a natural form of expression. Festivals and gatherings are frequent, blending African rhythms, Spanish traditions, and Caribbean energy into something entirely unique. Cuban culture is not passive, it is alive, expressive, and constantly evolving. 2. Beyond the city beaches and Hemingway's Havana, just outside Havana, lies a completely different world of turquoise waters and soft sandy beaches. Playa del Este offers an easy escape, where locals swim, relax, and enjoy the Caribbean sun. Havana is also deeply connected to writer Ernest Hemingway, who lived nearby and found inspiration in Cuba's sea, culture, and people. His presence still remains part of the city's literary identity, especially in places like his former residence and favorite bars. 1. Havana, a city suspended in time at its core. Havana is defined by its relationship with time. It is not a city that constantly replaces itself. It is a city that preserves, adapts, and continues living within its own history. Vintage cars, colonial streets, music-filled neighborhoods, and oceanfront life all combine into a single atmosphere that feels both nostalgic and vibrant. Havana is not modern in the traditional sense, it is timeless. The Havana experience. Havana is more than a destination, it is an emotional experience shaped by rhythm, color, and memory. From Old Havana's cobblestone streets to the crashing waves of the Malecón, from vintage cars to soulful music, every moment feels deeply cinematic. It is a city where history is not preserved behind glass, it is lived on the streets every day. Once you experience Havana, you don't just remember it, you feel its rhythm, its warmth, and its timeless Caribbean spirit long after you leave. From classic cars to coastal sunsets and rich cultural energy, Havana delivers a rare blend of history, beauty, and soul. If you enjoyed this guide, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more travel destinations, cultural stories, and global exploration content.